Welcome back to my Colorado Mountain Garden, and this is the second video on sifting Miracle Grow potting mix. And I'm just going to let the title speak for itself. This is crap and you are being ripped off, because that's exactly what this is. Now, this was not the organic, but the organic has the same ingredients. The only difference is they use an organic slow release fertilizer. And it wasn't just feather meal. It said with things like feather meal. So, this is what they call compressed, not compressed, processed forest compost. I like to call this a stick. But wait, I forgot to tell you. This is a 5-quart bowl, but it gets better. Not only did I get this one, but I got this one too. Again, this is crap, and you're being ripped off. So I would say there is probably, what I sifted out with these two bowls, there's probably, I don't know if they consider this 5 quarts to the very top. I have no way to know, but 5, we're going to say at least 8 quarts. So if that was a full bag, you'd have 16 quarts of crap that you're paying for. It just makes me so mad. And I still cannot believe, and I always write to Costco because you know me, I like Costco. They keep bringing in these Miracle Grow products. Now, I will say that what's down there this time I checked is actually the raised bed Miracle Grow soil. It's not the potting mix. I did not see a potting mix this year. So, but I wasn't going to waste my money and buy a bag and sift that too. This is just horrendous. To be nice about it. I have other words for it. But I have called Costco saying, I can't believe you keep bringing in this junk and that's ripping people off. And yeah, they might be able to sell it for a really cheap price. And as long as we keep buying it, well, this is what we're going to get. Unless we start insisting upon having a better soil. Now, this is potting mix. So you want to use this in your containers, like your flower bed, your flower containers, your hanging baskets. Even if you're growing tomatoes or peppers or something like that in 5-gallon containers or a little bit larger, this is what you want to be using, because if you use the raised bed mixes, the garden mixes that's for your raised bed, that also contains dirt and other things, sand, which will really weigh those down, and they'll get very compressed and your plants will not be happy. The idea of growing in a container is you need to make sure it still has air. I'm going to leave that one up there. So, from that sifted soil, I just brought in a little bag versus the whole thing. This is what I got out. And this is dry, so that's why it's not sticking together as much as you might think. But the other problem is, let me bring it up here. Look at how small that perlite is. And there's not very much of it. Perlite's there so that your roots of your plants, it leaves air pockets naturally. And this is a volcanic product, is what perlite is. Volcanic rock that they heat to a high temperature and it puffs. So it's very lightweight. And it leaves that airiness. But there's not enough of it in here. There probably would be if they would actually use a perlite that would be better, meaning it's larger. This is like dust. And it's not because I ran it through the sifter and the sifter broke it down. Because if it was a medium size perlite, it would have just gone through the sifter. And when I get my perlite out, I've got, excuse me, some leftover. Um, I'll show you how big it should be. I don't know. What do you think? You think we're getting ripped off? I do. There's nothing we can do about it as long as we keep buying it. So I'm going to give you a word of warning here. Before you buy any cheap soil, especially if you're going to buy a large quantity, any cheap potting soil, make sure you take a bag home, open it up, and see what is inside. Because I don't care what the ingredients say. It will probably be crap. That's why I've stuck to mostly Fox Farm stuff. But even that has deteriorated a little bit over the years I've used it. It used to be fantastic. Now it's, well, I guess I will say it's still fantastic because it's not this. It's way better than this. Kellogg brand used to be a really good potting mix. No more. It's just as loaded with sticks and crap like this. So, don't go buy 100 bags until you know what's inside that bag. Sometimes you get lucky and there's a bag broken open. When we had the grow store up here in Conifer, they had buckets with examples of the different soils that you could look at. Unfortunately, they closed. I don't know. I get so angry that they're ripping everybody off. And if you're new to gardening, you don't know the difference. You don't know that this is not going to be a good soil and that your plants are not going to thrive. You're going to think you're doing something wrong, and you're not, except for the fact that you bought that soil. So, find a good deal. If you're at a nursery or something, most times they will open it up so you can look at it. Sometimes they won't. If it's a good nursery, they will. Your Walmarts and stuff are not going to open a bag for you to look at. So if it looks good, you can kind of tell. If you press on the bags, you can feel these bigger sticks. It's okay to have a few, but this is ridiculous. This is super ridiculous. There shouldn't be this much. Ever. Now, I'm sure if I sent to Miracle Grow, they'd say, oh, but that stick, we don't have to put in as much perlite because that stick's going to create an air pocket. Don't let them feed you a line of bull. There's a reason why it's for container gardening that you really only want peat moss. Now, this does have coco coir in it. I'm not a fan of coco coir. It didn't work as like I wanted it to work as well as the sphagnum. But if you want to use coco coir, it is a fairly decent product. I just like sphagnum moss better. But if you want to mix your own, you're going to be doing for your containers, you want 1 part compost, 1 part sphagnum moss, and I only use a 1/2 part of the perlite. I find that that's plenty. But see, I'm not buying this tiny little stuff here where you can barely see it. Mine is a lot bigger. I believe they call it a medium grade. Also, when you get that small grade, you're going to get a lot of dust in your bag and everything like that. So do yourself a favor, buy the medium grade if you're going to try and make your own. I add worm castings to mine, and a lot of times I'll add other stuff like if I wasn't using Cotty Blend compost, which is made out of lobster, I would probably put some crab meal in here. I don't use a lot of blood meal in my hanging baskets and stuff like that. But there's other, like the feather meal, like they were talking about. There's a lot of videos out there. I can't tell you every way to do it, and I can't tell you that one's right over the other, but all I can tell you is that this is wrong. This is totally wrong. So I'm going to let you go. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I was until I got, hang on, once again, this much crap out of a half a bag. Hope you're having a wonderful day and happy gardening.